My guest today is someone I've had the honor of working with, and I can tell you firsthand that he is excellent at what he does. He is a Scotsman Guide top 1% mortgage originator here in Chattanooga, Tennessee, but his resume goes beyond just the numbers. He's a former collegiate athlete, a professional soccer referee, and a father to 3 sons. Beyond that, he's an active member of his church, where he serves as a deacon and is working with the church's youth program as well. He has a powerful personal story, having lived in 20 homes before the age of 20, which is part of what drives him in his mission to help people find stability and build wealth through home ownership. He's a man that believes that how you do one thing is how you do everything. I'm excited to get into his story today. Chris Kloc, welcome to the show.
Man, who is that guy?
Yeah.
Who's that guy you're talking about? Actually, to add to that, a father of 3 sons and a girl.
Oh, you just...
Yeah, I just had that girl. Yeah.
Dude, that is crazy. How old is she?
3 months as of Friday. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
So my little girl, dude, I just had a daughter. She's 4 months old now. Like literally just 4 months on the 8th here. So
being a girl dad's different. You don't have a boy, right?
No boys. Yeah. I'm gonna have you scoot a little. Bring the mic down just a bit.
How about that? Better? Yeah. No, being a girl dad's different.
So what are the big differences you've noticed?
I'm a pretty calculated. Seems like I don't have any emotions at all. That's obviously not true, but I'm more of like a stoic. Right? We talked about this before. I'm pretty stoic. So when I had the boys, I was just thinking it wasn't super. I mean, I was emotional. I was happy. I'm a dad and all those things. But I immediately thought of when can we wrestle? When can we play soccer? When can we throw the football? And I didn't just sit there and stare at any of the boys. Like I was like, oh yeah, this is awesome. And I want to do stuff. With the girl, I just hold her and I try to get her to smile all day long. Like I'll sit there for 15 minutes and try to get her to smile until she's sick of it.
Yeah.
And I don't know, there's something that's just different. That's totally different. Way more, and people always say, oh, you're going to have your wrapped around your finger and all that type of stuff. And I kind of push back against that. But I mean, I kind of feel it. I feel it a little bit. I don't know. It just feels more emotional. I don't really know how else to describe it. I'm sure I'll figure out some words over the next 13 years.
Definitely.
Maybe I'll have some different ones when she's a teenager.
Yeah. That's what scares me is when my girl hits like 13, I'm like excited for everything until then. And then the idea of her being 13 scares me so bad.
Well, it's a family-friendly podcast, so let's just say that you have to worry about all the boys in the world.
I know.
As opposed to as just your one boy. So I've had to worry about 3 boys, and now I have to worry about all of them.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. Did you think you were going to have, did you know what the gender was going to be?
We don't find out on any of them.
Okay.
Yeah, we're kind of crazy like that.
Did you think it was going to be another boy? Did you have any feeling either way?
We did for a second. I think there was like a little bit where I just kept saying, I just want a bunch of boys. So just give me a bunch of boys. And about a month before Annalise was born, both of us were like, I think this might be a girl. And not that any of it matters. I mean, people have these stories all the time. People only tell the stories about when they thought it was going to be one and then it was actually one.
Yeah.
They always forget about all the ones that we were wrong about. But no, I had a borrower that literally, like a kind of crazy story, but she guaranteed my wife 1,000% it was a boy. And then she was the first person I thought of when my baby was born. I saw it was a girl and I thought of Sunny. Like I immediately thought of Sunny.
That is so funny.
Yep, work infiltrated the delivery room. That's for sure.
So my parents, they had 3 boys and they wanted a girl like really bad.
Yeah.
And so they had another kid. It was a boy.
Yeah,
So
4 boys. Just cranking it out.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I really wanted a girl. Like I was so excited when we found out. We found out beforehand.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I have to know. And so we found out. I was so excited. It was exactly what I wanted. I would love to have a boy too.
Yeah.
But just for the first one, wanted to have a girl.
This world is full of getting to know everything. So we just decided, Elizabeth and I decided early on. She originally was into the idea of not finding out, and I was like, that's the craziest thing I ever heard. And the next day, we both literally flipped, and I was like, actually, that sounds I love surprises. And 2025, you don't get to decide. There's no surprises at all.
Yeah.
So it's a fun surprise.
That's awesome.
Exercise and discipline.
Yeah. Yeah, true.
I mean, Amazon will get you the clothes you need. But I mean, I literally went to Target and bought a couple dresses when she was in the hospital. No big deal.
Yeah, that's so true. That is so true. That is awesome. So speaking of your kids, are any of them playing sports yet? You got them into soccer yet?
Yeah, I've got my 7-year-old is my oldest. His name's Kaya, and Kidron is my 5-year-old, and they're both playing. I tell you what, though, I've been struggling with this a little bit, talking with some friends from church and different people. I don't know if I'm gonna full blown push them into doing soccer. I don't. I'm struggling with this. I'm trying to figure out like what does our family dynamic look like. I mean, I remember my life ran around soccer, and my parents' life, our entire lives were around me playing travel soccer and a brother playing travel soccer, and I have 3 other siblings. Um, I don't know. So I'm kind of struggling through that because I have some friends on both ends of the spectrum that I really, really respect that I'm really tight with. And, one of them is, hey, we're just not going to do that. It's not that they're not doing anything. I mean, they have swim lessons and they do some things like that, but doing soccer and it's your Saturday is completely dictated by the schedule of the rec league. And we're not even doing travel yet. I'm like, man, I kind of like waking up just with our industry. It can be kind of crazy throughout the week. I like waking up on a Saturday and I'm still getting up at 5 a.m. and running 6 to 10 miles. So it's not like I'm not doing anything, but being there when the kids wake up and they're not being an agenda and just spending some time together. I don't know. There's something special about that. So I'm debating and trying to prayerfully think through all these and like have some sort of wisdom and like, hey, I mean, sports is a huge part of my life and it dictated a ton of things and I learned a lot of lessons through it, but it's not the only way you can learn those lessons. So I don't know. That's kind of a weird.
Yeah.
I never thought I thought it was going to be like we're doing soccer every single day and I'm going to come home and we're going to do soccer drills and it's not really the case. I mean, we still play like we actually throw the football a lot more than anything.
Really? Did you play football growing up?
I played I've been the same size since I was 11.
Okay.
So I was huge. Like I'm not big anymore. I'm 5'8" and I'm 180, 185. I was 155 as a freshman as a 12-year-old, I skipped kindergarten, like a 12-year-old. So I was middle linebacker. Not anymore. But I did all the kicking positions. I could have, it sounds so crazy to say out loud because it sounds really arrogant. I could kick in the NFL. Like I was kicking 50-yard field goals when I was a freshman in high school, but I wanted to play soccer. Just kicking's too boring.
Yeah.
I mean, my brother had a chance to walk on at Alabama. He kicked for a state championship football team. Like the connection between kicking and football and the process of kicking we'll call it a long ball in soccer, like trying to kick a ball 50, 60 yards. It's identical. You approach the ball the same. You have the same lean. You hit the ball in the same area. Like it's totally, you can translate it completely.
Whereas in one of those scenarios, though, you're spending how much time in the game? Maybe a couple minutes every game
not
in
even
football.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's literally all the pressure on an extra point or kicking a field goal, which that'd be fun. I'm sure I'd love it. It'd be nice to make a couple $1 million doing that, but
yeah,
we should just do some loans instead. Let's make a couple $1 million doing some loans, whatever.
Yeah, it might be more work. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's a little bit more work, but probably a little more lasting. I don't know if I'm going to be kicking in the NFL at 50. I'm not Janikowski.
True. I was looking into this for a project I did a long time ago, and I think the average tenure of an NFL player is like 4 years. It's under 4 years. I think.
It's under. Yeah, it's under 4 years. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you're averaging in some Tom Brady's and Aaron Rodgers in there, but
yeah, absolutely. Some 22-year careers there. So speaking of soccer, and you mentioned kind of lessons that you learned from soccer. What do you think soccer taught you? Like spending all that time playing it. I changed schools when I was in 6th grade. Mm-hmm. In the school that I went to, soccer was like status. And if you were good at soccer, you were high status. And so I spent all of my time from 6th grade on playing soccer. Like literally every spare minute, I was playing pickup, doing drills. I started getting up at 4 a.m. and it taught me pretty much everything about how I work today and how I focus today. Would you say that was similar for you or not necessarily?
In a lot of ways, it's really similar. I mean, I think that it teaches you a process and I mean, it's a brick by brick thing. Like you don't just go, and it wasn't more of an offensive player, it was more of an outside back or a defensive mid, but you don't just go score goals. Like the guys that, there may be those elite, crazy talents, but the people that I played with, like, they systematically put in the work. Just over and over and over again. So, I mean, that obviously, it's discipline more than anything. I think it just teaches you discipline and being able to deal with the emotions of being so ticked off about something you kind of can't control. Like you put in all the work, you have a bad touch, somebody runs around you. Like I was only so fast.
Yeah.
People ran around me. I had to try to compensate as much as I could, but like I'm 5'8" and I'm not built to be a sprinter. I'm more of I can run a not anymore, but run a sub 5 minute mile. I wasn't running a sub 4:5:40, maybe probably not even a sub 4:7 or 4:8:40. So I've attributed a lot of business success to obviously different avenues of life. A piece of that being the refereeing, a piece of that being in logistics, a piece of that being an underwriter. The grit thing, I think, comes from not, I don't want to paint some story like I'm this sob story or anything like that, but there's supported myself in a lot of ways, still had a great family and was at home and all that good stuff. But like I paid for my club soccer when I was a junior and senior. I went and refereed in order to pay for me to be able to play travel. And I lucked out because my travel program was actually really good, but it was literally a seventh of the price of the top elite club that we would compete with in town. So I kind of lucked out because it, didn't end up being that expensive, relatively speaking. But $800 in 2005 or 2006 to a 16-year-old is actually a lot of money.
Yeah.
For a season. It's basically you're paying $100 a game to play. But doing a full-time job in the summer and then so I would work at a camp from 7:30 in the morning until 3, and then I would drive to a grocery store and work from 3:30 to 10 or 10:30. I'd close out the deli department, and then I would go do my soccer training, and then I would do it again, and then I would do it again, and then I would do it again. And like,
Yeah.
if you miss your soccer training, it will show up when you get to camp, because in Dayton, Tennessee, on August 12th, when you're practicing from 8 to 11 and then from 5 to 8, you will die. I mean,
in the summer. Yeah.
I ended up having an injury that happened after I think it was my sophomore year, and I was super fit, and my parents were moving, and I was helping them move, and I hit a couch. I had a couch that was flipped up, and I bumped up the couch, and there was like a lazy boy on top of it, and it fell off, and it fell in the back of my leg, and I actually have a scar I can't even feel part of the back of my leg, because
Wow.
I should have got stitches, but I didn't, because I was afraid to get stitches. I wouldn't be able to run, because I literally was like, if I get stitches, they're not going to let me run. I'm going to get out of shape. I got camp starts in 2 weeks, but I couldn't run for a week and a half. And I mean, you lose that quickly. The elite burst, or at least because of all the biohacking stuff you do, you end up losing the top end of that VO2 max. Like if you're running sub 5 minute miles, and you take a few days off, you are in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. It goes quick.
It goes real quick.
It's hard to build, goes quick. I mean, it's like losing weight,
Oh, yeah.
You get down to 10% body fat. It takes months to get there, but then you can mess it up in a weekend, it feels like. So
that speaks too close to
well, I've done that. So what was the decision to play in college then? Why did you decide to do that?
I don't know if I actually wasn't that great of a player, honestly. It's like, and that's it's lent me to being relatively successful on the business side, just because I have a coach. And I mean, I've always had a coach, and I've always listened to the coach. And I think back to a time when I was a senior. So I started my freshman year, and then the beginning of my sophomore year, and then I went to the bench. And I was in the bench for the rest of sophomore year. I never started a game again my whole college career. And like, that kind of sucked. I mean, that sucks a lot, because that was the reason I was there, was to play soccer. I wasn't there I didn't move from Charlotte to middle of nowhere, Tennessee, to not play soccer. So it was pretty tough. I mean, especially if your identity is tied up in that as an 18, 19-year-old. But I don't know if I never thought of not playing, because I knew that I could. And I mean, it just was the level. I mean, shoot, there's some schools, I don't want to throw shade, but there's some schools that really stink. I mean, anybody could play college soccer. So I always knew I wanted to, and I was recruited by Brian, by Covenant, and by a D2 school right outside of Charlotte called Belmont Abbey. And I went to Covenant, and they didn't pay attention to me. They literally put me in a room to watch a movie and went out and hung out with their friends. They were drinking and smoking weed the night before tryouts at Belmont Abbey. I was like, I'm not really into that. I'm here to play soccer. And then Brian one, like I did stuff with the guys, and I just knew. I mean, the click was there, and I was like, yeah, this is where I want to be. So, yeah. I don't know if there was I played at a high level. I was on that all-star team when you're 11 or 12, and then I played club, and I was maybe middle of the road club on a pretty darn good club team. But I never was the star player, so I knew I wasn't ever going to play professionally, and I knew I wasn't going to go to a D1 school, but I knew I could at least sit the bench at a D2, and I don't know, there's the camaraderie piece too. It's almost like, not that I'm not a veteran or anything like that, so I'm not going to but there's some sort of bonding that takes place when you're going through the two-a-days and you're just dying out there together. Like I don't know, you
Yeah.
kind of miss that. There's something weird about that.
Yeah, there's some of the closest friends. Like my
100%.
cousin is one of my best friends, and he joined the Marine Corps. I almost joined. Like I literally almost enlisted right out of high school. And you see something about the guys that he went into the Marines with.
Mm-hmm.
They just have this connection, that bond. It's that camaraderie that like you'll never understand unless you were there and went through everything that they went through together.
It's like trauma bonding.
Yeah, literally.
Literally. Sometimes realtors and lenders have that too. You have trauma bonding.
Yep. Yeah.
As long as it wasn't the realtor or lender's fault, if it's chaos of either a buyer or the title or appraisal or something like that.
I've had some good trauma bonding with the people in my office this year. It's we've had some fun clients, but I guess getting out of college, like, what did you major in college? What was kind of the path going out of it?
Yeah, I did, that generic, you either do communications or you do business. So I did a business administration with an economics finance option and a business management option. And I mean, literally did it because they said if you take 5 extra classes, you get an extra concentration. It's not even really an extra degree. And then I ended up having a Bible minor as well. Honestly, I think college is kind of BS at this point. I'm starting to really lean into that a lot more, unless you're in the hard sciences. I mean, I want my doctors to go to college. I want my engineers to go to college doing what we do. I think there's a lot of people that would be well served to go into the trades and to go to maybe a 1-year business school or take an accounting class or an entrepreneur class or something like that and do more mentorship.
Well, you can probably get pretty good accounting advice on Udemy for $35 versus $35,000.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I wouldn't change anything. I mean, there's a lot. My college experiences, meeting my wife, my college experiences, growing up, living out on my own. It's playing soccer. It's becoming a Christian. Like, there's a lot of things that are tied into that. So I would never do it differently. But I don't really wish that on my kids now. Unless they wanted to pursue a sports thing, and I would support that, of course. But I don't think you need to go for a generic degree, especially if you don't have any direction with it.
Yeah.
You don't need a degree per se. Now, you can argue that you have a lot of the lessons that are learned during college, but you don't need a degree to be a lender, to be in real estate per se.
Yeah, definitely.
You need an emotional IQ. You need other things. You need skill sets, but I don't know if that necessarily teaches you in class.
I feel like the big strength of college is almost like a holding tank where you let these people that are almost adults kind of like figure themselves out for 4 years, and then you send them out, and maybe that's the value in college.
I feel like you could maybe fix, and I shouldn't even go down this road, but I feel like you could kind of partially fix some of the labor market stuff.
Yeah.
If you didn't have people straddled with the student debt, and maybe they were okay working for a lot less because they're still staying at home, but they're learning a skill set, and then they can potentially, be an apprentice or become, go do something themselves.
Yeah, or if they just kind of like bootstrap themselves, you get a bunch of guys, you live together in an apartment for $400 a month each. You could go explore a lot of stuff living cheaply.
I was the white roommate for 4 years. They call me the white roommate because I live with 3 black guys down near, if you're in Chattanooga, down near the liquor store on 58, the liquor store on Brainerd. So it was like, we had 3 shootings within a quarter mile the first month we were there. It wasn't great, but I lived in a sunroom. There were 3 other dudes that were in the house. We each paid $237 a month.
Hey, that's great.
It was great, but I wish I would have bought the stinking house because I could have. And that's part of my story is I should have bought the house. I wish somebody would have told me to buy the house. Why didn't I? Well, it wasn't even in my lexicon to think about buying the house. Didn't even think about it.
What was that when you were in college, or was that just
after? No, that was after. So after I graduated, I moved to Chattanooga, dating a girl, asked her to marry me. Her dad said no, she broke up with me. I married her friend. That's the truncated version. So yeah, I ended up in Chattanooga, and I lived with a friend of mine for 6 months, and then he ended up getting engaged and got married, and then I moved in with 3 guys at the house next to the liquor store on South St. Mark's, baby.
Let's go.
Yep.
Let's go. That is awesome. So what was the opportunity around buying the house? Like,
well, I had no idea that there was even an option. It wasn't that I could have bought that particular house. It's that I could have bought a house.
Yeah.
I mean, and I would have been able, we paid $950 a month. I mean, half the house would have been paid off. I could have bought that house for $100,000.
Yeah.
Half the house would have been paid off if I would have applied what I was paying and what all the roommates were paying just towards paying the house.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Didn't view housing as a way to build wealth. I didn't know that it was an option. I thought maybe you need a ton of money. I don't even know what I thought at that point. But I was programmed to just pay off my debt as aggressively as I could, which is a good thing to be clear. But my debt wasn't, I didn't have a bunch of credit card debt. I had $15,000 of student loans over a 4.5 year period.
which is
So,
not bad.
yeah, which isn't bad. And looking back on it now, I wouldn't, if I would advise myself then, I wouldn't have done that. I mean, I still would have paid the debt off for peace of mind, but I would have bought the house first. I would have built the wealth through the home. I
Yeah.
mean, shoot, I could have liquidated the wealth over a 5 year period and paid that off 8 times over.
Yeah. Well, and it's like that the house hack method that doesn't really come to many people's mind, I don't think,
Mm,
especially in college.
yeah.
But
Mm.
yeah,
But that's where like we as real estate professionals have an opportunity to go, uh, not create that need, but introduce that possibility.
yeah,
Because when people don't know it exists, I think that's like I feel a burden for that because I probably would have. I mean, I was the guy that was buying, going to Big Lots and buying, I don't remember what type of energy drink it was. I'm blanking on it, but it was a Rockstars. There was a grapefruit or something Rockstar energy drink that I would buy for 25 cents a piece, and I was selling it at school for $1. Like I did drop shipping before it was cool when I was in college. Like I put myself through my senior year of college with drop shipping when Amazon Prime was only with a student membership, and I advertised on eBay that I could get you this thing in 2 days, and so people would pay a premium, and I would just literally take their PayPal money and pay Amazon and send it directly to their house.
that's
Like,
awesome.
yeah, I got really scared because they sent me a letter that says, "By the way, the IRS will come," and I was like, "Ah," because I did $40,000 3 months in a row, so they gave me this gold certificate. Like,
Amazon did?
no, eBay did because
Oh, okay.
I was whatever their top, eBay store was. I got that
Yeah.
designation, so I got this cool little piece of paper, and then also with that was the IRS will collect at the end of the year, and I was like, "Ah!" So I freaked out, and I
Did you shut it
I
down?
literally shut it down. I literally shut it down.
Dude.
Knowing what I know now, it wasn't that's not
Yeah.
how IRS works. I was only on, like 1 to 3% profit on each thing. I mean, I literally was just paying my bills and paying off the student debt. So I wasn't
Yeah.
making a killing. I just was a dummy and I'm 19, 20, and I'm thinking, "Oh my gosh, I need to pay taxes on $40,000." No, I would have paid taxes on per month. I would have paid taxes on maybe $1,500, something crazy. Like it would have
Yeah.
been fine, but I didn't know what I was doing.
It's so interesting that you found that arbitrage between what you could sell it on eBay for and what it was selling for on
I just
Amazon.
was always searching. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I was curious because they had a thing on Amazon where they would do, and they probably still do it, like a daily deals.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, that seems really cheap. And then I looked on eBay and I'm like, that is cheap. I'm like, huh. And so I don't know. I put the two together. Um, I'm sure that that concept existed. I just didn't know it. But that's why I think it's important to have, and I didn't have this, and maybe you did, but to have some sort of a mentor that's maybe like that sounds so cheesy, but a life mentor or somebody that has some sort of real life business experience to be like, hey, consider these things because it would have been nice to be guided that way. And it's not that I don't have good parents or anything, but that wasn't the type of advice. We didn't really talk about money and not,
Yeah.
I, I understand why. Like it's hard to talk to your kids about money too. I mean, even my kids aren't that old, but my 7 year old, we went to DC a couple weekends ago and we were on to a Redskin game and we went to one of the stores and they had a Jaden Daniels jersey and he's like, "Dad, it's only $100." I'm like, "Only $100? What are you talking about? That isn't." But he has no concept, and that's on me. I mean, I need to teach him, but he's still learning math. I mean, he just has no earthly idea that that's crazy for a kid 6 for
Yeah.
me to buy you a white jersey and you're a boy that rolls in the mud. This is the craziest thing I've ever heard.
It's gonna be white for
Yeah, about
maybe
5 minutes. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I'm expecting a food spill on it at the
Yeah.
game there probably.
I'm like, and also I can go buy 12 of these online on eBay because they're like $8 a piece because nobody keeps their kids' jerseys anymore. So that's like this the art I can give you 7 of these or I can give you 1 of these. And he's like, "Well, I'd like 1 of that." I'm like, "Yeah, well, that doesn't we're not doing either one." So
That's so
you already
funny.
have 30 jerseys. It's okay.
That is
Yeah.
awesome. That is awesome. So when did the lending thing come onto the scene? Like
Hmm.
what was the transition from everything that you were doing before into lending?
Yeah, good question. It was and I won't keep it crazy long, but I got out of school. I literally sold heart attack cancer policies door to door for 2 months. I've never quit anything in my life, but it's not 1950 and you don't door knock to try to sell them insurance. You can, and some of those people did. I don't know. They're psychopaths. I don't know how they did it. Like it killed any sort of sales drive that I had, and I went from being pretty outgoing generally, kind of like maybe I'm like this sometimes now, anyways, but a little bit loud, like loud and obnoxious, kind of the fun guy, and it killed it. And I wanted to be behind a desk. I can't tell. It was the craziest thing. Within a couple months, I was like, screw this. I will never do anything that has anything sales or outbound or anything like that again. I was a truck driving manager for 2 years at Covenant Transport here in town, and I had 50 solo truck drivers, so it's all logistics. I ended up in one of them's weddings, which was awesome. He had his truck driver, his fleet manager, his dad, and his brother, and his mechanic. Those were the people in his wedding. It was incredible.
That's
Um,
awesome.
I ended up going to UNUM. I didn't really see. I saw they were basically using me to replace people that had been in the industry for 10 years, and it
Mhm,
was just there
mhm.
was no career trajectory, and that's a grind, man.
Yeah.
Logistics is a grind of an industry, which we have a huge logistics, kind of presence here in Chattanooga, but it's a grind.
Were you doing logistics with Unum?
No, that was at Covenant Transport,
Oh,
so the
okay.
trucking
Gotcha.
company,
Yeah.
and then I ended up getting a job at UNUM. I was there as an underwriter. I started off in, like the lowest level, and then took a couple progressions and got a couple promotions and worked with a couple of the bigger, more difficult offices and personalities. And then they said, "Well, hey, your next progression is to be a mid-market underwriter." And I'm not the guy that wants to work on 2 cases a week.
Mm,
Like 20 hours a case, that sounds give me a spoon and let me pull my brain out like a scoop at a time. That's
mm.
miserable to me. I like the small case world because it was a lot of stuff that you were touching. And there's a lot of skill sets that were learned there. And it's honestly, I mean, they sales reps give you stuff and you throw it to the wall. They throw it to the wall and you try to turn it into something that's beautiful. So there's obviously a skill set that relates there to the lending world. And so I did that for 6 years, and I felt really, really convicted. About 6 years in, I guess at this point, I'm about 30-ish, right around there. And I mean, I don't know, I guess midlife crisis or something. I felt really convicted that I need to be using my skill set for my family. I mean, I had a kid at that point. We were thinking about her pregnant with the second one. I was like, man, what am I doing? I kind of shook out of it a little bit. Like, I've been here what am I going to do this for 30 years? I tried to get some promotions at Unum. They have this thing called an accelerated leadership program. I literally applied for it 3 years in a row and got denied all 3 years, which is kind of crazy to think about now.
Yeah.
Looking back, and I'm like, how did you guys not win? I don't mean that in this arrogant way, but I'm like, I'm really good at what I do now. And I'm like, how did you not see any of that? I don't know if I probably stumble too much and I'm not as corporate. Um, and so anyways, I just ended up searching for that. I was convicted about the parable of the talents, and it was not perfectly connected here. And I know that if you do a deep dive on the Greek doesn't mean da, da, I get it,
Mm,
but
mhm.
I felt really convicted that there was talents that I had that I wasn't using, and I kept coming back to that. I kept being reminded that parable, and so I searched and I looked at contact sales for AccuV, and I looked at doing some outbound stuff, and I looked at being a rep at Unum, an inside sales rep, and COVID happened, and they said, "Well, we're locking everything down." So I used that time to aggressively network. I mean, I was meeting with different managers in all these different departments and just asking them questions and just trying to figure out like how do I take that next step
Within Unum?
within Unum. And they said, "Hey, you're going to get hired, but we have a hiring freeze. So like you're a person that we want." Then I started talking with a couple friends, and I have a friend that flips, and he's flipped 30 houses, and before he was 30 with his dad. And he's kind of had me interested in it. And I started reading the book on investing, like the Burr book,
Mm,
Buy a
mhm.
Property, Renovate, Rehab, Refinance, Repeat, David Green, and being on Bigger Pockets. And I joined Bigger Pockets, and I listened to 100 hours on real estate stuff. I was convinced that we needed to house hack as we were taking steps in career, that this would be a way that we could build some wealth. Because at this point, I'm also a professional soccer referee. So I'm building out this career as a professional referee, which is hilarious now because it pays you pennies. I mean, you drive to leave I go to Milwaukee to do a game for 2 days and you make $500, which at that point in life was a huge deal because it was all additive. Like, hey, I'm trading my time so I can get this extra $500 so that I can build and have more stability. I wouldn't do that now because it's the opportunity cost of being away for 2 days.
Yeah.
And kids and stuff. It just didn't make sense. And it's like a 90% divorce rate, professional referees. And
Really?
I ain't doing that. They're always gone and you're on
Yeah.
call. You're on call all the time. So it takes a really special spouse to be able to deal with that. So I ended up, searching for all this stuff. I got convicted about that, about doing the house hacking, and I found a duplex in East Brainerd, and we put an offer on it. I ended up clicking on a button on Zillow that connected me with the person that connected me with the lender, and it wasn't super good experience, to be fair. And the rules literally changed that month on how you could house hack. Conventional loan, usually on a 2 unit, you could put down 5% and you could live in 1 unit. That month, they switched to 15% down.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, crap, well, this isn't good. Well, I told my friend Parker, who's been flipping with his dad, and he said, hey, go talk to my realtor. He connected me with his realtor, who then connected me with Clarence, my now boss. And I ended up going in, sitting down, doing an hour and a half consultation. And at the end of it, we both went to the bathroom and PG, but we're standing at the urinal. And I said, hey, who are you guys trying to hire anybody? And he said, yeah, who do you have in mind? And I said, me, man, what are you talking about? So we stayed in the bathroom where all great business takes place for about 20 minutes and just talked about, well, I was gonna call you. No, you weren't. I had a game at Duke and Carolina that weekend. So I drove to Raleigh, and on the way there, I listened to loan officer stuff and summit funding on the way there and on the way back. And there was on the way back, I remember I was about Greensboro, and there was a podcast that my CEO and mentor, and I mean, I consider him even a friend at this point, Todd Screama, did, where he was talking about this world of lending. Here's the 10 things you need in order to be excellent. And I felt like he described me. It was like,
Mm.
I mean, I remember the moment. It was weird. And I clipped it and I sent it to my wife and I said, I found out what I'm doing. And then I sent him an email. I sent Clarence an email Monday because I hadn't heard back from him. It hadn't even been a half a business day. And I was
Yeah.
like, hey, this long email that I still have, I will ask you if you want sugar or cream in your coffee, hire me. And then
Yeah.
had more details below it. But, and then I just haven't looked back because it's the perfect, God is provident. There is a piece of, logistics, right? Loans are logistics. Professional soccer referee, all networking, the ACC, the SEC, Big Ten, they all have different assigners. You have to find a way to get connected with them for them to trust you with their referrals or games, deliver on it, and continue to deliver. Then you have this UNUM piece, which is underwriting, which is all, I mean, it was in a different industry to be fair, but it's all like, how do you turn this into like a souffle, and it's a bunch of garbage. It's
Mm.
all, how do you
Mm-hmm.
put stuff together, and it's a creative thinking. And I'm not naturally a creative thinker, but I did really well in underwriting because I'm very linear. So, which doesn't, you wouldn't think that fits into underwriting, but it does because it's always an if then. Everything's an if then.
Mm.
Okay, if you can't do this, then we have to go down this direction. So it's all those I don't know, there's a if then charts, I just call them that, but kind of that tree
Yeah.
that ends up helping you figure out what the creative solution is. Well, it's not creative. It just ends up going, you go down the chain and you end
It's
up
an
coming to, yeah,
algorithm.
it's an algorithm. You come up with a solution. So, yeah, like it's the perfect fit. And I'm 4.5 years in, I'm still fired up about it because I love what I do and there's unlimited growth. And like, I'm at the point now where I'm finding people that are outside the industry like I was, and I'm recognizing in them, oh, you've got it, what it takes. And I'm bringing them into the industry and I'm seeing them grow and I'm seeing them change their lives.
So you mentioned that your CEO at
Hmm.
Summit Funding mentioned the 10 things that you need to be
Hmm.
excellent as a mortgage broker, right? Or
Yep.
is that what it is, mortgage broker or
I mean,
originator?
there's like 15 different categories, but really
Okay.
you have a bank, you have me, I consider myself I just say lender because it's
Okay.
easier, but
Lender.
it's really an originator though, right? Because
Okay.
the origination piece is you have to go generate the lead as opposed to like a bank loan officer. They're sitting there and they have some sort of generation that comes to you. So I think there is a distinction there, at least. Like, do you hunt? And I
Mm,
hunt. So
gotcha.
I don't
So you're
think
the originator then
I'm the
versus,
originator, yeah.
yeah.
And so I built out a team behind me that does a lot more of the process. Like, I'm not a processor.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to make sure I put the deal together properly and then have the right team in place to execute the plan.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
More of like a doctor nurse model.
So back to that excellence component,
Hmm.
there's this quote I heard forever ago that stuck with me. I don't know where I heard it, but it's that excellence inspires others and honors God.
Hmm.
And that's been something that I try to do in everything that I do that I want to be doing. And most of the things that I don't want to be doing too, I try to be excellent at it.
Hmm.
And so what does it mean to you to be excellent as a mortgage originator?
Excellence. Would say that again. I like
Excellence
that.
inspires others and honors God.
Man, That's a really good quote. I'm stealing that. Excellence inspires others and honors God. I think for me, I want to do things. I mean, there is like there's an element of this that I'm a born again Bible believing Christian, and I'm a deacon at my church, and I've been the head of the deacons, and I have all like I there is a different standard that takes place, and I know especially if I'm open about talking about my faith or connecting with people or like meeting people's needs. What's really interesting about our industry is people are really, especially with me as the lender, they come in and they're pretty open because they kind of have to be
Yeah.
they're prepped to be super open.
Yeah.
It's kind of like if you go in and do a physical with the doctor, you're okay dropping your drawers. Like that's what you're there for. That's what's expected. It ends up being the financial. What's all financial drawers, I guess. We talk about going through your financial underwear drawer. Like it feels a little invasive, but you expect it because you're going and getting a loan. You're not a billionaire, so people tend to be really open. And I mean, you get to see their jacked up credit and the mistakes they made and talk about their story. And people end up, you end up getting really connected. So I think that there's a vulnerability piece, and I don't ever want to use and even be tempted to use my story or faith or anything like that to sway people or influence people that way. But it does hold you really accountable that, like, I got to make sure I'm at my top level game and that I represent the person. I'm representing somebody when I do this, and that's ultimately God, and that might be their only godly influence that they have. I don't know. I mean, you really don't know. So I never ever want somebody to think that I was deceptive, and I think I'm very much an honor based person. Like I never broke up with a girlfriend. I don't know why. I just always thought like I had 25 girlfriends. They all broke up with me, man. Like I don't know what it is. You probably tell me what it is, but uh I'm an honor-based person, and I just don't I want people to feel like they were taken care of, and I don't care if they well, I do, because it's hard not to take it personally sometimes, but I don't care if they choose me or not. I wanna make sure that I took care of them at the highest level possible, and then from that, I mean, it's the biggest honor when somebody doesn't choose you and they still refer somebody else to you because you're
Mm.
like, "Hey, that might not have been the right fit for me," or they
Mhm.
end up going down this road and they realize this industry can be a little bit crooked or deceptive, and what they were promised by Rocket, which was what we run into a lot, what they promised by Rocket wasn't true. And if I didn't get offended and I treated them with the utmost respect and I said, I listen, I don't think what they're telling you is true, but man, let me tell you, Don, I'm here for you. If and when something changes and you follow up with them each week and you just act like you're kind of still doing the loan, like, hey, how is everything going? When something blows up, they come back. And it doesn't happen all the time, but it happens enough to where it's
Yeah.
motivating. It really is.
Yeah. I think the same thing happens, on the flip side, being a real estate agent. Like I have some clients that I'll show them, 20 houses maybe. And then we get to a point where I'm like, you know what? I actually don't think that any of these are going to work for you. Like I've got this one guy in particular right now. He's already told me, he's like, I can't believe that you're pushing me to do something that's not in your best interest. And he's like, that says a lot. He's like, and you've actually talked me out of a lot of these houses. So maybe I'm just a bad salesperson, but it's like looking out for that person's best
Yeah.
interest and everything.
Well, or you're an expert salesperson. It's a takeaway close, and he's going to go buy the most expensive house, right? That's the thing.
It could be.
It
It
could be.
could
I
be.
know people that are like that. Like that is a method. No, I
Yeah.
think Chattanooga's too small
Yeah.
for you to be in your own self interest, and it's not that you won't make mistakes. I mean, I can think of a situation even recently where I made a mistake and I got offended about something and I shouldn't have, and like I did a little bit of meditation on it and prayed through it and figured out why I did, and it was just definitionally being selfish, and I didn't have but that's definitely not the norm. I mean, that stuff happens when you're blindsided by something and you get a little bit defensive because nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and so, I mean, all you can do is apologize and ask for forgiveness and just move on.
It's kind of having that mindset of like abundance of like, even if this one doesn't work out.
I've shifted over the past, and I've tried to always be this way, but I've been really more intentional about it and just knowing who my ideal client is
Yeah.
and knowing, okay, we're not really good at construction loans. I have multiple people in town that are really good at construction loans. Um, we're not, I have multiple connections for hard money. I have multiple connections for land loans, just depending on me asking questions, being curious, and being the filter to try to connect them with the right people. And I could try to do the land loan or the construction loan. We technically can do it. We're just not good at it, and it's going to damage my reputation.
Mm,
There's that. Plus, I do a boatload of down payment assistance. A lot of people don't do it for two reasons. One, it's a lot harder because you have more overlays and it's more likely you're going to mess something up. Two, you make less.
mm,
Nobody talks about the you make less piece. And I don't know because I don't think I like to attribute ignorance versus malice. But I know that there are people in town that they were told you can only do so many of these things or otherwise the branch doesn't make enough. So don't do it.
mhm.
I basically said at some point, respectfully, figure out how the money needs to work out. I'm going to continue doing these and I'm 40 or 50% of the branch volume. So let's figure it out.
Yeah.
And not that there was that much tension. It feels like I was way more aggressive than I actually was. I more was just saying, "Hey guys, like this is if it's the best fit, I'm gonna do it."
Yeah.
And we had that because I have a great relationship with my branch. Like we had a conversation about that to try to figure it out because there is like you have to be profitable. You can't do it for free. But so I just decided, and we have a thing where like I cut part of my comp in order to do those, and it is what it is. Like I view it as first off, just helping more people in general, and second off, that it's literally if it's the best thing for them, I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Well, I think that that comes back to, not to think about it selfishly, but that definitely increases the lifetime value of that client,
Oh yeah,
you
hundred
know?
percent.
And so you're prioritizing your future self, which I think is a big part of discipline is prioritizing future you over current you,
Hmm.
right? And so that is that's like being disciplined and serving your customer, your
Hmm.
client is prioritizing
What if they found
them.
out that either A, you didn't have the knowledge to be able to do that loan, which is the lesser of the two evils, or B,
Yeah.
you knew it and you didn't do it
Yeah.
because, and you went, oh yeah, I guess I could have done that. And if they, that's first off, you have to sleep with yourself at night. So that's the bigger piece is like you have to go to bed at night knowing I could have done the best thing for them and I literally chose not to.
Yeah. Do you think most lenders know that, or do you think most lenders are just ignorant
I think
on
it's ignorance. I think most
okay.
people, they're scared to do it and for good reason.
Yeah.
Just because once again there are more layers. I think it is a combination of the money piece. I do think like knowing they're harder. Why wouldn't you just choose the path of least resistance, especially if they have the ability? Like you're gonna say, "Hey, can you go get a gift from your mom?" as opposed to you should use THGA,
Mm,
and you're
mhm.
gonna start with that,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's fine, I guess. But I don't think it's the best option. That is an option, and it does solve the problem, but it's not the only solution. And I don't think it's the best solution.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. So speaking of that, the ignorance
Hmm.
in the industry, I heard you say on a podcast, I believe it was, that you don't think that most lenders are deceptive, but you think that most lenders are lazy.
Hmm.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
what?
totally. I think that in general, you don't have driven salespeople
Yeah.
that are in and are like really driven to grow the business and to take care of a lot of people. So I think that breeds a little bit of that. Like you have some people that will rise more quickly because of the driven piece. And guess what? Better known beats better at times. So people forget you every 21 days. If you're not out being highly active and highly visible, people will not see you and they'll end up choosing somebody else. And
Yeah.
guess what? I'm sure there are people out there. I know for a fact there are people out there that have better loan skills or could be they're a better processor, but people will choose me because they know me because I'm out there and I'm active trying to find people. So there is a piece of that is like being a hunter is more advantageous. Um, but just to go back to the lazy piece, and I talk about this in my consultations all the time. I don't think in general so those deceptive people exist, and I think it's more trigger leads. They're calling you and telling you once you once you apply for a mortgage, hey, I can get you a 4% rate, and it doesn't exist. Like they're
Mm,
actually lying. So those people do exist. They're eating Cheetos in the mom's basement in their boxers. Those people do exist. Probably 1% of the population. Honestly, I don't know. I only know one person I would put in that category in Chattanooga, like just one, and everybody else, maybe they're just a little lazy, or the industry has the industry standard is lazy is I think the way that I would phrase it to be more
mhm.
articulate. And it's
Yeah.
because of COVID and Rocket, Push button get mortgage has become the norm, and it was all about speed during COVID. How quickly can you get me a letter? And it wasn't about connection, curiosity, discovery, figuring out what's most important, like what's the 1 year, 5 year plan. You didn't have time for that. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think it created people that are lazy, or at least an industry that's lazy. And there are some big lenders in town that, I mean, they do more production than I do for now, to be clear, for now, but they might work a little bit less and do more production even with less staff, but it's a little bit less thoughtful. And I would argue that they potentially aren't being, they're not. What was your phrase that you had about honoring God? I'm gonna have to
They're
memorize that.
not excellence inspires others and honors God.
Yeah, I don't know if they're at the highest level that they could be.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe part of that is ignorance. And they're like, man, I forgot that I could do that. But because the old bank trope is you got to go sit down with the lender. The way that I look at my job is if you're going to go invest $400,000, if you're going to go buy a house that's $400,000, I view it as an investment. It's the way you build wealth in the US is through real estate. If that's the case, you would not push a button and invest $400,000 with a Charles Schwab agent.
Yeah.
Most people wouldn't. And the people that would are not my client. I need to ask a lot of questions that's not going to be captured on push a button and fill out this information. I need to figure out what you're comfortable with payment wise. What's most important to you? What's the 1 year, 5 year plan? Are you going to turn this into an investment property? Okay, so you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna refi when rates drop, but you're telling me you're gonna house hack. Well, that's a different story because if you're house hacking, you're only staying in for a year, it's probably not gonna make sense to refi because you move into this property for a year. If you refi into a primary resident interest rate, you got to stay there for a year. Or you need to refi into investment property rate so you can come by and those investment property rates are higher. So I want to think of myself as more of even if sometimes it feels pretentious to say, I'm more of a consultant. When you, as a real estate agent, sit down with the buyer, you go through a buyer's consultation, right? Something. It's structured, it's educational. Here's my value. What's important to you? I do the same thing. That's how it should. I think that should be the standard. The way that the industry has shifted to be way more intentional about, I think it's actually a good thing that the NAR thing happened because it's made people way more intentional about proving their value,
Mm.
sitting down and then signing the buyer's rep so you know they're committed and they see your value and you're more professional in general. My industry didn't do that, and I don't have a buyer's rep. People can leave me the day before closing if they want to. No, they can't get closed that quick, but I mean, it can happen. You can go find a discount lender. I can do all the work and get you to the point where everything's ready to close, and then you can say,
Yeah.
on to the next thing. And I mean, it happens every once in a while, and it's not fun, but
Yeah.
ultimately that wasn't my client if they didn't see the value or taking it an extreme accountability from that perspective, extreme ownership, like a Jocko perspective. It's like, well, I didn't add enough value. Or like a Hermosi, if you didn't add enough value, if I added enough value, they would have left, or they wouldn't have left. They would have stayed. So either I didn't add enough value, or they're just definitionally not my client. So you have people that will want to use you for information and leave. That's that example. Will want to use you for information and are hopeless. They can't do anything. And then will want to use you for information and use you.
Yeah.
Like I want the last, and that's who I'm always searching for. And I'm trying to move the people from the middle into the last category. Most of the time, you're not going to move the people from the first into the
Into
third.
the last. Yeah. That makes
Sometimes,
sense.
but there's always going to be somebody cheaper or somebody that will do it for free.
Yeah.
And and that's market. That's the market. So I just kind of accept that. Like sometimes you do it for free or sometimes you lose it. And my job was to make sure that the real estate agent got paid. And a byproduct of that is I get to talk to a whole bunch of people and help them build wealth through home ownership. But I mean, 85% of my referrals are from real estate agents. It's starting to shift to where I'm generating a boatload of business from past clients because I
Mm.
have a dialer that reaches out to past clients and sets meetings and like I ask and I'm really intentional about it. So, like that's been a way that I've tried to shift a little bit, but it's always going to be, I mean, 80% of people go to real estate agents first. So, and I think that's the way it should be.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. If you could sit down with the people in Chattanooga that are kind of sitting on the sidelines right now and
Mhm.
not making that home buying decision or delaying it, if you could sit down and grab coffee with them, what do you think you would tell them?
I would probably just ask a lot of questions. Why? There'd be a lot
Yeah.
of why questions because I'm always curious. There's some people, If they're just hyper convinced in their soul that the market's going to crash, I wouldn't convince them to buy. I'd say, okay, this isn't the right fit for you,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's up to them. But no, I'd say, what are you waiting on? That's probably the question I would just start with. What are you waiting on? Oh, the rates to drop. Okay, so do you think anybody else is? And this sounds a little snarky the way I'm asking it, but I would be genuine about like, hey, what are you waiting on? Okay, so if you're waiting on the rates to drop and other people are waiting on the rates to drop, what's going to happen when the rates drop? We're going to have more competition. So, and I don't necessarily think it won't start with price going up. It's going to start with you getting less help from the seller. And
Mhm.
what's the hardest thing for a buyer, especially a first-time home buyer, is coming up with the cash. So what's going to go first is less seller concessions, and then it's going to be stricter on the product. So you're going to, I might need $10,000 seller concessions to get this person into a house because they need zero out of pocket paired with the down payment assistance. To they're only going to give you five. So
Yeah.
come up with 5,000, or we're going to do a different program that the payment's $150 more a month. So which one do you want? And so that's going to be the first shift. And then so you get less seller concessions. Then well, we're not doing THGA. I mean, during COVID, THGA wasn't a thing. They go, it's conventional or cash, baby. That's it. Now, do I think there's going to be a feeding frenzy like COVID again? I personally don't think so, but because that was a weird time where we were dealing with some chaos too, because people were moving from all over the place. Now, you continue to have crazy stuff like New York happen, then I think we're about to get an influx of New Yorkers.
I thought about making a video about that.
You should.
Yeah, I actually scripted it all out. I just haven't shot it yet.
You better
But
shoot it now.
I think I'm gonna shoot it and release it right when he actually goes into office because he's kind of died down in the media right
Yeah.
now, and so I need the next wave of terror to strike the market. So because I watched the Google search trends for it, and
Yeah.
he like spiked way up on that day, and now we're kind of back
Yeah.
down to baseline. So, but we'll get back there.
Baseline chaos.
Yeah, we'll get back to full blown chaos.
Yeah.
So,
I'm sure.
yeah. Did you see? I think it was Bill Lee put out a video right
Oh, no,
afterwards.
I didn't. What did he say?
He came out and he was just like, "Yeah, we've got lots of space for people in Tennessee." So,
Pretty smart.
yeah, yeah,
I've seen the majority of people that have moved, not everybody, and it's probably 1 out of 15, I'd say, that move from out of state don't have same value structure. And it doesn't mean you're like a diehard MAGA or you're this or that, but it's like value structure. They're usually faith-based of
hmm
some sort. They're family-oriented. They're probably more conservatively leaning politically. Like if they were going to pick one, and they might not even be vocal about it, but they're like, "Hey, it's kind of a little crazy over here, and they don't really believe in my faith and my family structure. So can I be over here with you where you're like okay with me doing
yeah,
that, and
yeah,
not only okay, but you kind of celebrate it?" Like that's what I've seen.
yeah. Same. Like
The,
most of the people that call me from out of state they've got a family, they believe in God, and they're tired of wherever they're
mm,
living. Like it's just gotten too crazy.
the only shift that I don't know about yet, because this is newer, is Florida.
Yeah,
Which because Florida was, I mean, I've had a bunch, and it's come in waves, which is funny. A bunch from Texas, a bunch from that's been more of the money is crazy there. Bunch of Northern California in particular, um, several from Pacific Northwest, and then a lot in Arizona. So that's been kind of the pockets we've had, and then Utah for a little bit. It's almost like the YouTube algorithm focuses on a place for a couple months and then moves
yeah,
itself around. But for Florida, it's a lot of we get the halfbacks. They move from the Northeast down to Florida and they come halfway back.
yeah.
And so I don't know yet because it ends up they moved because of weather and money, and now the money doesn't fit and they still kind of want the weather. But so I don't know yet. We'll see.
Well, I've noted. I think Florida has a couple problems. There's a bit of the brain drain problem going on. So there's great schools down there. People go there for college,
Yeah.
and then what happens is the economy is so reliant on the retirees that are down there. They're
hmm
kind of propping up the economy, and so there's not a lot of great jobs outside of tourism and healthcare.
Mm,
And so, I mean, unless you're like in Orlando or Miami,
yeah.
but if you're just in like Tampa, what are you going to go do? So there's kind of a bit of
Mm,
this, like there's all these smart young people, they're having a hard time getting jobs, or, they just have gotten priced out of some of the stuff that
yeah.
they moved there for in the first place.
I mean, the taxes are twice, if not three times as much, and the homeowner insurance is 6 or 7 times more.
Yeah. I
So,
spoke with these people a while ago that bought a home down there, unrepresented. They didn't have an agent. They bought a new construction townhome for 380. The builder is now selling townhomes down the street for them for 340 that are brand new. And they're like buying down the rates too. It's a big national builder. They're buying down the rates
Crap.
to 4.99% across any new sale if you use their lender. And so these people are like stuck. They're like, do we just eat it and try to get out of here?
I mean, crap. That's a short sell, or you need $50,000 to make yourself even.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Which how do you do that?
Well, you rent it
Yeah.
for like 8 years and hope to break even.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think that's the problem that you're getting with a lot of these first time home buyers is Florida is like mostly new construction now, I'd
hmm
say. Like, that's what a lot of people are buying there. And so you've got these big builders that are buying down the rates. And then, 2023 was probably peak pricing wise in
hmm
Florida. Come back down now. Builder can obviously sell it for less and, and buy down people's rates. So,
I Man, I feel bad for them. That
yeah.
stinks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's not the norm. I mean, that's those horror stories exist, but there's risk in anything.
Yeah.
Like you could have bought into the dumped a bunch of money in the stock market and then it crashed the next day. It's like there's always a risk with anything you do. It's not a
Definitely.
guaranteed return.
Well, I think part of it too is probably buying something without representation
Yeah,
and just
probably a piece of
using
it.
using their lenders, using everything.
And real estate is a time game too.
Yeah.
Like you don't buy real estate to flip it unless that's literally what you're doing is flipping it. You buy real estate to hold for a good amount of time, 5, 7, 8 years.
Yeah. So part of your mission, what is your mission statement for your company?
To help, well, mine particularly is I want to help people build wealth through homeownership, and like there's other things that come from that, but it's essentially viewing your purchase of a home not just as like I believe that it's wealth building and it's also stability creating.
Mm-hmm.
So, like as the framework, that's my belief statement. My belief statement is I believe that you should build wealth through homeownership and help create stability for a family. So, I mean, my ideal client is a young family. Like I like first time homebuyers, which I know is not, it'd be better for me to like the people that make a bunch more and their purchase price is twice as much, but it's more of a long game for me. I enjoy working with the first time home buyer because of particularly I remember, I don't think I've told you this story. I told you about my wife was crying. Yeah, I think I just did. We talked about that, right? My wife was crying after we moved 3 times in our first year.
No, I don't.
Okay.
You.
Okay.
I think you mentioned that to Jamie when you were
Okay.
on his
That's what it was.
podcast. Yeah.
So I believe that you build wealth that way, and then it's also creates stability. I remember the first year of marriage. We'd just been married a year. We were moving for the third time, and my wife was crying, and I was like, Elizabeth, why are you crying? What's going on here, buddy? Like, is this what we're getting into? And she said, Chris, I've never moved this much in my life. And I said, what do you mean? And she said, my family's lived in the same house since I was 5. We've moved 3 times. Like we lived in a church parsonage for a month, moved into a friend's house for 10 months because he was at UNUM and went and worked up in Portland, Maine for 10 months. And then we bought our first house. And I said, well, I've lived in a lot of places, so this doesn't feel weird at all. And I got to thinking about it literally that night, and I wrote down all the places that I'd lived in. And I'd lived in 20 houses by the time I was 22. I was like, oh, that's not normal. I did not realize that wasn't normal until now. So my mom, we had somebody get shot like 4 doors down or we lived in a townhouse community, and it was in right outside of DC, and like, it wasn't, the neighborhood was kind of turning in and somebody got shot. So my mom said, we leaving, and they short sold that house. And at that point I think it was 2001 or 2002. Not a great time to do that, to be clear. Arms, all this stuff, they short sold, tanked the credit. So we short sold. Not that that affected me that much as a kid, but I remember it was a Thursday. We were in high school, or I was in high school, and the cop knocked on the door and he gave us an eviction notice and he kicked us out. And once again, didn't even feel that was weird. I went, guess we got to live somewhere else, because I was used to, we lived with this aunt for 6 months and then we lived with Nana for this amount of time and all that type of stuff. So I remember there was a broken window in the garage. And so I climbed through the broken window and opened up the garage door at, that night, and we snuck in and got all of our stuff out. So it just wasn't a weird experience to me. And I don't look back with any sort of like, oh man, woe is me or anything like that. Like it's part of my story. But that taught me just with that experience with my wife that like, hey, there's a stability that takes place inside the family with memories being created and knowing that this is where you're going to lay your head that
Mm,
I didn't necessarily have. Not that I look back on it with a bad experience once again, but I know that it's better. We would all agree that it's better. You don't want to live in 20 places, especially when you're not a military kid. Um, and I mean, ultimately, what that did is that created a big passion in me that once I realized that, and I ended up getting connected with this whole real estate world, I was like, man, I want people to have that stability. So I'm really passionate about them understanding that they could buy right out of school. Like one of my favorite people I just helped was I helped somebody that was 72 that bought her first house that's been working at the KFC downtown for 42 years
wow.
with a down payment assistance, no money out of pocket. And the same exact thing in Georgia, a 19-year-old kid that he's been working for a year. I used high school diploma as part of his job history for him to go buy a house.
Interesting.
Both of them. I love it. And obviously I wish that my 72-year-old that she would have bought earlier, but like the time to start is now. So it's just created a big passion in me for the education piece. And I mean, ultimately, I usually tell clients that, or I mean, even I tell you that now because like, I want there to be an aspect of this of not just it's where your head lays. Like, it's a legacy building thing. And I want to transform the way that we think about home ownership. I don't want it just to be, it's an investment too. There's so many other benefits about stability, but you have two things. You have the stability aspect where you can raise a family and mama's going to nest and you're going to be able to paint it whatever color you want. And you're going to have a hole in the wall from, you know, this experience and like I'm gonna write crayons on the wall when I'm a kid in my mom's closet, like that type of stuff. You're gonna be able to have that and all those memories. And then also there's this aspect that if you hold real estate over time, 70 people that own real estate versus people that don't have 70 times more wealth.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think that real estate is such a powerful wealth building tool in America? Because if you look at the returns of the S&P
Mhm.
500 versus real estate over a 40-year period, most people would probably do better in the S&P.
Well, two things. One is the S&P piece is, are you looking at the actual rate of return or the average rate of return? Because that's, have you ever read the What Would the Rockefellers Do? The book?
I don't think
Oh, you
so.
should read it.
That
It's
sounds
really
good.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's actually it's a proponent for a whole life, like for optimally overfunded life. So that's the premise of the book is and that's what the Rockefellers have done to preserve their wealth as opposed to maybe the Vanderbilts who didn't do anything like that. So it's really interesting based on that. But the one of the things that I learned from that book that was mind blowing for me is, we talk about the rate of return for the stock market is like 10%, right? People say that 10%. Well, if you have $0 and it goes to $100 and down to zero and to 100 and down to zero,
Mm,
you had 100% return, a 50% drop, 100% increase, a 50% drop. When you average that, you have a 25% rate of return.
yeah.
How much money do you have?
0.
You started with zero, you have zero. The actual rate of return is zero, but the average rate of return looks really good. So when we look at the stock market, we look at the average rate of return. The average rate of return is about 10. The average rate of return is not nearly that much. It's like 5.5. So when you do those numbers, it looks a lot different. Plus, you have the tax advantages piece.
Yeah.
So you have the market appreciation, which even if you say is just 3% year over year, that's time under tension. Plus, if I'm buying a $300,000 house, I'm not putting down $300,000. I'm not investing 300, but I get to see the returns based on 300. So if I put down zero out of pocket, or I put down, let's say 3%, I put down 9K, that house after 5 years is worth about 350. You put down nine, it's worth 50 more.
Mm,
Just with the appreciation, I mean, that crushes the S&P.
yeah. I
So
think
and you get debt pay down and
yeah.
you get the potential tax advantages.
I think the other side of it too is like it's easy for people to go into their stocks, maybe they start investing and then panic and sell. And then like be like,
Mm,
"Okay, well I sold high, I'm going to buy low."
yeah.
But then you just keep buying high and selling low and not
Hmm.
really making anything over time. Whereas with real estate,
Yeah.
there's a
That's
lot more
interesting.
friction to that sale, right?
There
It's harder to
is.
get in and
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. And I view the stock market like that too. I don't, I mean, I max out my 401k in January and I'm done.
Yeah.
I don't touch it again. It's just, I want to overfund it because it's going to be more money allocation as opposed to splitting it up over time. If you look at the last, I want to say it's 4 years, might be off on that, overfunding the 401k in the beginning of the year. And plus, I'm just not thinking about it. I don't need to, it's less headspace. I don't need to think, I don't care what's
Yeah.
happening in the market. I'm not going to touch it. It doesn't matter.
You'd rather focus on the business.
Yeah, my CEO had this wealth building day, Todd, and he has $200 million. Like he's an uber wealthy person. Still crazy down to earth, very accessible, kind, like interested in the business, which is really cool. 30 years into it. He had me come to this wealth day, and he actually invited another realtor in town that's a really good young guy. And we went, and you were supposed to have $2 million in net worth to go, right? Or sorry, yeah, at least you're supposed to have at least $10 million in net worth, $2 million in cash net worth to be able to go. Obviously, I don't, well, maybe not obvious. I don't have that. Okay. Working towards it. Give me some time. He told that person, that other realtor and me, he said, hey, for you, the goal is don't get distracted.
Mm.
Don't get distracted until you have at least $2 million in cash net worth. Don't get distracted. People are going to come to you with development opportunities and this and that. And it's not to say you can't do it, but don't get distracted. So like I wanted to do a flip project out in Blue Ridge and turn it into an Airbnb and all this and that and have a, cash flowing rental. And that was going to be distracting.
Mm.
So I'm not buying any real estate right now, or at least I have a business partner where I'm literally just the money guy and that's it. And we had about 6 hours of setup. And I mean, in this whole flip project, we'll make about 25 a piece. I've had 4 hours of work on it.
Yeah.
I'm just running the books. That's fine with me. I'm okay with that. But if it was going to be me managing the flip project, zero chance I would even consider it because it would just be distracting. And plus I can always fill up more time, but I got a lot of kids and they keep getting older every day. Like
Yeah.
I'm sure you feel this pull. I'm super driven. It's really, really, really hard to push the ego and drive aside because as much as I want to try to convince myself it's not ego, it is. I have plenty. I don't need to get bigger. I don't need to help more people. It's I want to win
Yeah.
constantly. I want to win all the time. And it's not always great because that can be the difference between me staying a little later and being super intentional about going home. Because part of it is I know my competition is going home.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. So your CEO, you mentioned that he's been in the business for 30 years and he's still kind of obsessed with it.
Yeah.
He's passionate about
Mhm.
it. Do you see lending as something that you could be in for that
Forever.
amount of time?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I will die a lender.
Okay. So you found your thing.
100%. Yep. And I don't know what capacity that means. I mean, I'm a sales manager at my branch in particular. I don't have I have a couple 5-year plans and 5, 10-year plans. I don't know where it's gonna pan out. I want to be really careful to take on too much responsibility too soon.
Mm.
And I'm not it's not an ego thing for me not to be a branch manager or whatever. Like there's a lot of people, and everybody's a branch manager in town. Like any lender that's any good, everybody's a branch manager. And like, oh, I make more money that way. I'm like, I mean, kind of maybe. I get it. You probably should have blown your business way more up and had somebody else manage all the other nonsense and take a little bit of the override so that you could grow a bigger business and focus on that. That is a
Mm.
distracting piece. Now, that's a skill set I will learn over time because that's more of a time management thing than anything. But like I have a new challenge that's ahead of me to where we absorbed an Atlanta branch and we have some other people that are coming under and I'm the sales manager for them. So I have to understand how I can add value to them, keep them as clients in a way, right? Add value to them. And not add more time. Like, how can I buy back some time in a Dan Martell book, buy back time in other ways so that I can actually work less time and have more responsibility and impact more people? That's the hardest thing in business, period.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's been my biggest challenge right now is on the editing side of things.
Hmm.
So I still do a lot of media for people. I had a guy in the Philippines, a couple guys in the Philippines that were really good editors,
Yeah.
but their style sort of started to drift too far out of what I was like comfortable with.
Yeah.
And so instead of taking the time to build them guides on everything, there's just a lot of time to like,
Oh, yeah.
sit down and then I've probably put 15,000 hours of editing in. Like I've
Oh,
edited a
gosh.
ton, like literally so
Jeez.
much time. And so I don't even think about it. Like when people ask me, Jamie has asked me, he's tried to learn editing from me. And the problem is like I can sit down and teach it, but there's so many things that I just don't even think about anymore because
Hmm.
it's just there for me. Like, I mean, I don't even think when I edit. I can just sit down and edit something. And so my problem has been that instead of building out the training for these guys to get them onto the style that I need them on,
Hmm.
I just keep saying it's quicker for me to just do this one myself.
Oh yeah.
But now I'm like 50 edits in where I've just done it myself. And it would have been, I should have built the training for them and outsourced it all and bought back that
So
time.
so the key is, now that you know this is a problem, who's the accountability that's going to make you do the SOP?
It's this podcast. You guys hold me accountable, the 6 of you that will watch this.
Yeah, there
So,
you go.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I'm kidding. When I put stuff out like this, when I'm public about my goals, like 75 hard,
Hmm.
I've done that 4 times. But the strictest, best results I've gotten from it was when I was posting like daily recaps of it every
Mm.
day. Because I literally built an audience of like 20,000 people that were just watching my daily 75 hard, and they'd be in the comments every day. Like
That's wild.
it was the craziest thing. And then I got to the end of it and I like went out and got a burrito to celebrate. And I felt like crap. And I was like, all right, I need to do another one of these. And then I did another one, but it just felt weird
You
to
had a
make the
day
same.
off?
Well, yeah, literally. It felt
You're more of a
weird.
psychopath than I am. I did
Well,
well, that's how we connected, was I did 75 hours.
dude, but it's addictive when you have like think about it. If
Oh
20,000
yeah.
people are watching everything that you posted on 75 hard,
Yeah, that's true.
and that's a lot of accountability right there. And so I think that for me, like I've almost thought about starting a channel where I just document the things that I'm trying to do
Huh.
in my business as the accountability piece. Because the editing doesn't take me more time really to do that. Like I could put that out in an hour a week probably.
Hmm.
So be interesting.
Well, your highest and best use is probably not editing.
No,
Even though you're
definitely
good
not.
at it, the ROI is not there.
Definitely not. I mean, it's a commodity. You can find an editor anywhere, but to edit at the level that I need for some of these things that I'm working on, it's fewer and further between for the
Hmm.
people that you can find for that. Like, there's plenty of people that can do it, but price just goes way up.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, so there is a there is a barrier to buy that back, but if you know what that
I know exactly how to do it. I just have to do it.
Okay, so when is your accountability time? Like I'm your accountability partner, baby.
All right, dude. Text me Tuesday next week
All right.
if I haven't built those tutorials for those guys.
You don't get to eat Thanksgiving dinner? What?
I will sit at Thanksgiving with no food.
And do an SOP,
Yeah.
be writing out your SOP.
I will. I will. I will sit there and not eat. I have no problem with that.
That would be
That's a
rough.
good one. Yeah. I like that though. That's a good consequence. I noticed that you listed as a skill that you're a toddler wrestler.
No, yeah, totally. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're not?
Not yet. No, I don't have any boys.
Oh,
Can't really rough up I mean,
that's
my
true.
nephews,
That's true. Yeah.
they're a little weak.
No, it's like a constant thing. If I sit down on the couch, they don't let me fall asleep. Like,
Just
I'm
get
tired.
attacked.
Oh yeah, it's like I get just everywhere, all over the place. But what I've learned is I can actually get a workout in because each kid will come up to me one at a time, and I can, um, what's the what's the stuff in the decathlon where you have the little ball that you throw? I don't know why I'm
Oh
shot
yeah,
put.
like
Yeah,
shot
I
put
can
them.
literally shot put them. I think it's like a medicine ball, and I throw them onto the other side of the couch. So like there are times, I'm like, guys, my elbows kind of like I'm not that old, but I've done this 40 times. Like I
Yeah.
gotta relax a little bit, or I go on the other side of the couch to use the left arm.
You see the first one coming, you're like, wait,
Yeah,
got to start
yeah.
a
Hold
whoop
on,
workout.
hold on. Yeah, yeah.
Got-
Hold on. Let's warm the arm up. Let's do it. Yeah.
That's awesome. So for you, what we talked a little bit about college, but what do you see for your kids? What do you want for your kids as they grow up
Oh
here?
man, that's a deep question. Um, I mean, I would hope that they would have grit, and I think that's a really, really hard thing to teach. And I don't know. There's a saying that suffering is the price that it's essentially the price that you pay for growth,
Yeah.
and I believe that. And yet, how do you introduce suffering to your kids? I don't know. I've not figured that out. So I've been thinking about that a good amount because what's the saying? Hard times make hard people make soft times make soft people make hard times make that's the cycle. And that's why it's really rare for a billionaire to have great grandkids that are billionaires. They lose all the money.
Yeah.
I mean, it's or maybe it's millionaires. I don't remember what it is, but it's like really rare. It's a really low percentage because they don't teach the skill set. It's not just the skill set of money management. It's actually more than anything, it's like a life skill set.
Mm. The skill set of how to
Yeah,
suffer well.
exactly. And I
Yeah.
I haven't figured that out. So I mean, I want that's what something I want for my kids, but I haven't fleshed out how to help with that. So there's a grit mentality. I don't do lazy. It will be the thing that fires me up more than anything. I have one boy that's a little well, actually, two of them that are a little lazy. One of them's just cuter about it, and he tries to get out of it, and the other one's just a little bit more obstinate and is like, "Yeah, I don't really wanna do that." And talk about a dad's a father's fury. It's like, I'm gonna choke somebody, like, you will not be lazy. I don't raise lazy kids. And so my wife and I say that, like, "Hey, I'm not raising a lazy kid. Like, you have a responsibility." So we need to figure out, my wife and I together, and guess what? Every day that you don't figure it out is longer. If you keep procrastinating, all of a sudden they're 18 and you're screwed. And really, I mean, we're into those developmental stages for sure with 7-year-old. I mean, a lot of they talk about, not that God can't change things, but the moral compass and all these things are set between the age of 7 and like 11 or 13. And
Yeah.
so it's a really, really important time. And yet, I don't know. I have to figure that out. So if you got any ideas, but the grit piece is a piece of it. I mean, obviously, as a man that loves the Lord, like I want my kids to meet Jesus and be changed by Him and understand their wretchedness and all that stuff. And like, there's a uniqueness that comes with being a Christian where you do embrace the suffering. I mean, that's kind of the beauty of it is that like God embraced the suffering, and from the suffering comes glory, which
Yeah.
is such a counterintuitive thing. But I would want those two things, and honestly, I don't care what they do. I want character. I think it's more of a character thing than what they do. I mean, I would love if they all fell in love with the business and they got into real estate and they really helped people, but there's a lot of realtors that I know that are really successful, or lenders that are really successful, that their kids have nothing to do with it, and it's nothing to do with it because they're like, I don't want to work that much, and I get it. It's like mom, or they were always on the phone or whatever. I think that I struggle to come home at times during the week, but I'm like I've been working on being pretty dang present and trying and being more diligent about, here are the days that I come home on time, and on time means I'm in the driveway by X amount of time, like trying to be
Mm.
more regimented with that because there's always something to do. There's always another person to call.
Yeah.
So trying to be more regimented with that, because I don't want that to be the reason my kids don't get into the business of some sort. It might be because they don't want to do it, but it's not because, well, I don't want to be as unpresent as dad was. Like that hurts me when I hear people say that about their dad, especially when there's a couple of these people like I know as lenders and I really respect. And like at Summit, your culture is awesome, and we're in a coaching culture, and there is we talked about this before, but through that suffering of coaching together and going through, we're tight, and I really respect these people. And then I hear that maybe their kids are like, yeah, I don't want anything to do with that.
Mm.
Why would I want to do that? And you're like, oh man, I don't want that. So I don't know.
Mm.
That's kind of it's more of a character thing for me.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I want hard work. I want the ability. I want my kids to not be ashamed to ask for forgiveness, and it literally be because they understand, and be very easy to forgive, and not hold grudges because of their experience with understanding how much they were forgiven.
Mm.
Because I think that was transformative for me. I was not always like that. And I'm not saying I'm like that every day, but like, I'm reminded of that. Like if you're in meditation and prayer and consistently dwelling on the fact that like my favorite Bible verse is in Ephesians 2, the beginning of Ephesians 2, and it basically talks about Ephesians 2, 1 through 3 is like you were dead in your sin and trespasses, and you were children of wrath, and like there was nothing good about you. And then Ephesians 2, 4 is, but God, being rich in mercy because of how much He loved us, He sent His only Son to die, and like by grace you've been saved. And a lot of people like those verses, but that transition point for me is huge. Like in my sin, but God, because of His love, ended up coming in. So I want them to be passionate about that. Like I was forgiven when I was in my sin, and be able to forgive others, even if it's justified for them to be angry about it. Like that's
Mm,
where the freedom comes from, is being able to genuinely forgive somebody and um, move on.
mm.
Because there's so many people that are bitter, man. I mean, you hear them
It's
every
true.
day. They're bitter, and it doesn't
Even
hurt anybody but you.
even people from great families sometimes. I mean,
Yeah,
it's such a crazy
yeah.
responsibility to raise a kid, and I don't know if that really hits you until you have your first kid.
And at times you lose it. You lose
Yeah.
you lose the gravity of it for like 6 months. I mean, when I was first got in the business, I was grinding,
Yeah.
and I lost sight of it for a little bit. I feel it a lot more now, but
It's the daughter.
maybe it's the daughter, maybe it's the kids start talking thing, and you're like,
Yeah.
I mean, there was a couple times I came home in the first couple years of the business, and I remember two vivid times where I sat down on the couch, and man, I'm not a crier and I'm a grinder, and I just sat down and I just cried. Like I
Mm,
walked inside and I just cried, and I was like, man, I am overwhelmed.
mm.
And there was nothing. I just sat in it. There was like nothing I can do about it. And I mean, a couple minutes later, like my wife gave me a hug, and the kids came over and stuff, and I was done within a couple minutes, but it was kind of, I mean, that was my extent of breaking. And there's another time I walked in, and everybody was at the table waiting for me, and they they started clapping, and they said, "Daddy's home." And I was just like, it got me the same way. I was like, man, I don't want, I have this pull. I don't want to feel like I don't want to feel like my drive to create this empire is disconnected from my drive to
Mm.
actually invest in the empire that matters.
Yeah. Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's like the family is like,
100%.
yeah, family, the memories, the
Yeah.
experiences.
100%.
That's it.
Yeah.
Mm. One thing that my parents did that I'm really thankful for is when I was like 7, probably, we wanted to go to summer camp, my brother and I.
Hmm.
And they were like, if you want to go, and they could have paid for us to go. They had money to pay for us. They're like, if you want to go, you have to pay for it yourself.
Hmm.
And so we both like we took my dad's push lawnmower, his weed whacker. We went to all of our neighbors and we're like, we'll do your ditches for $6 an hour. And in the blazing Ringgold, Georgia heat, we did that. And we did that every summer until we left Georgia. We moved out when I was 11. But from 7 to 11, we did that. And I think by the time I was 11, I was doing like $12 an hour, all my neighbors' lawns. I'm pretty sure my dad would go behind us and fix all the crooked lines and mistakes.
That's funny.
But because it wasn't perfect. When you're 7, you can only mow a line so straight,
Yeah.
right?
I got a 7-year-old. I know.
but I'm really thankful for that. Like
Yeah.
he kind of taught us the value of money, like, and it was everything. Like we would pay for our Legos that way
Mm.
if we wanted some really expensive Lego set. But that was huge for us.
Hmm.
And then when we were older, my parents did mission work for well, they're still doing mission work now, but we lived in Indonesia. I lived there from 2011 to 2017. And even then, we would still find businesses. So I figured out, do you remember those like parachute hammocks that everybody had for a while? They like compressed really small.
Yeah, I think so.
It was
Yeah.
like they're literally made out of parachute material,
Uh-huh.
and I found the manufacturer for them. And so we would buy these hammocks wholesale in Indonesia, and then like come back to the States and sell them to all our friends. And that's how I bought my first Mac, my first camera,
Sick.
like all that stuff. But it was my dad was always the one making those connections and pushing that.
Hmm.
And he probably he probably could have just like bought a lot of this stuff for us, but he was always like, no, you've got to figure it out,
Hmm.
or like, here's the right person to talk to, now figure it out.
That's a really good lesson, because it's no, I'm not a multi-billionaire, but I could buy the kids whatever they want,
Yeah.
and it wouldn't affect me. It wouldn't affect our family, but that's not wise. But it's really tempting.
Yeah.
It's really tempting. I mean, I went to Walmart to pick up some milk the other day on the way home, and I think it was a Saturday morning. I went and ran, and then I picked up some milk, and I was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna go over to the little girls section and see if there's a cute little outfit." Of course, I found a cute little outfit. I was there looking for a cute outfit, so I found one, and I picked it up, and I said, "Well, I mean, I gotta get the boys something. So I went to the Lego section and they have do you watch the End of the Spider-Verse movies? The Spider-Verse movies?
I don't know if
Dude,
I've seen
the
it.
new Spider-Mans, you haven't watched them?
I've
You've got
seen like the animated
the
one.
animated one. There's 2 of them.
Okay, I've seen the first
Dude,
one.
you got it. The second one
I'll
is
check it out. I liked the
incredible.
first one. I haven't seen the
The
second
second
one.
one is incredible. So, I mean, they have, and I won't ruin anything, but they have hundreds of different Spider-Man. I mean, it's Into the Spider-Verse. So they have 100 different Spider-Man. Well, there's 12 little, they have 2099 Spider-Man and Gwen Stacy and blah, blah. There's 12
Mm-hmm.
different ones, but it's $5 and you get to open it up and you don't know who's in there. I'm like, it's fun for me too. So I went and picked up one for each of them. Like, that's okay if you do it a
Yeah.
little bit, but there was a
Yeah.
Christmas 2 years ago where I bought 15 presents per kid, and it wasn't $100 a piece or anything, but they each got 15 presents. By the most ashamed I've been as a parent was by present 11. I think my 5-year-old then at that point was 3, and maybe my 7-year-old was 5. I don't remember which one, but one of them was like, "Hey, when's the next present?" and just opened it and was like, "Hey, what's the next?" And that, dude, that's crushing. That's really
Yeah.
crushing, but it's really easy to breed that. I mean, even in a moment, you can do that.
Yeah.
And it's out of love. Like I want to shower them with gifts, but that's not the wisest thing. So it's actually discipline on the parent standpoint to not do that,
Yeah.
especially if that's a potentially a love language of yours.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, I think it is for my wife, so I need to go home and talk to her. But
You
um,
share this clip.
yeah, I'll just clip this and send it to her. But anyways, rapid fire here. Best date spot in Chattanooga.
Oh, geez.
Where are you taking your wife when you
Well,
don't
we
have the
used to go to
kids?
the terminal, but the terminal's dead now, so we don't go there anymore. We used to go to the bridge. I used to always walk the bridge. That was our date
The
spot.
Walnut Street Bridge?
No, the walking bridge. Yeah, is it
Yeah.
Walnut? Yeah, the
Yeah.
walking bridge.
Uh-huh.
You can't do it right now,
Yeah.
but Walnut Bridge was or the walking bridge was always our favorite spot. Now, man, things shift. Like you have kids and stuff, and I mean, for us, a great night out would be just not having the kids and going to Cava. Like I love Cava, Taziki's. We go to a
Yeah.
Mexican restaurant. I'm all about any of the local Mexican spots. It's nothing, um, like El Mocajete or
Yeah.
there's
Over there in
another one.
Ottawa.
Yeah, I don't remember what the other one's called. It's Agave Azul. It's like doesn't look nice on the outside at all, but it's on 58. Dude, I've been going to the same church for 15 years. I've been there 1,000 times. So I like that, and it's not that expensive either. And I'm not a foodie, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Where are the best cigars in Chattanooga? Where are you buying your cigars?
Ooh, that's all dependent upon what the goal is of the cigar. So, for instance, if you want to have an experience with a bunch of different people, a construction worker and a millionaire, you go to Holy Smoke Cigars. That's in East Ridge. If you want a little bit more of a bougie vibe, you go to Scenic City Cigars. That's on East Brainerd. Problem is, it takes forever to get there because East Brainerd's so congested. But the guy over there, Rob, is awesome. So it's a good spot. They have a really good selection. Biggest selection is Cigar International in East Ridge,
Okay.
for sure. That's and for me, like I work on Fridays at a cigar shop. It's easier for me to work at Holy Smoke, even though maybe the atmosphere is a little bit better and the ventilation's a little bit better at Cigar International or CI.
Gotcha.
So loaded answer, I know.
So it's like a cigar lounge. Like you can go there and smoke a
Yeah, yeah. I
cigar.
mean, at Holy Smoke, I mean it's smaller. It's probably it's actually an old Long John Silver's.
Nice.
That's how big it is.
Wow.
So, but Cigar International is 4 times that big,
I
5
think I've
times that
seen
big.
that's over by Top Golf there.
It is, and the
Yeah.
actual humidor is the size of Holy Smoke. I mean, it's huge. But that's an internet. I mean, it's something crazy like 20 to 40% of the cigars in the world are ran through Cigar International. I mean, it's huge.
Wow.
It's a wholesaler, and they have a shop here.
So that's where to get your variety and
Yeah, they
just
have a
pure
lot more
selection.
variety.
Yeah.
Pure selection. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Which I mean, I smoke a whole lot of cigars, but I'm not really a connoisseur.
Gotcha. What got you into cigars? Why do you like cigars?
I don't like to drink calories. Dudes can't sit down and just have conversations. Like, I mean, you can in the context of this, it's a little bit
Yeah.
different, but guys don't curl up on a couch and drink some tea. But dude, I'll talk about everything smoking a cigar.
Yeah.
So
That's a
there's
good point.
that. And I mean, you can argue some health benefits, but it's better than drinking.
Yeah. Maybe I need a cigar lounge for the podcast. That could be an
Oh,
interesting thing. Can you imagine that? That would
yes, I
be
can. Very much so. Yeah.
Do you want to help like venture funding? We could share
Oh,
the
let's talk.
podcast room.
You know what really needs to happen? Anybody out there listening is we need a cigar shop in Ottawa.
Yeah, that's
There's no
true.
cigar shop in Ottawa, and that's crazy because there is a boatload of people that get off in Ottawa.
I've had a lot of clients in Ottawa, like in some of the more expensive homes there, listings.
Have humidors.
Yeah, and they're out smoking cigars in the evenings, and like
Hmm.
I'll do showings and whatnot, and people will be like, "Did they smoke in this house?" Like, they walk in, and it's like the basement maybe smells a little
Yeah,
bit like smoke,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it's funny. It's
I have a
funny.
barn, so we smoke in my barn.
Let's go.
Yeah,
That's
all day.
awesome. That's awesome. Okay, besides Summit Funding, who's crushing it in Chattanooga in business?
In business. Um, just in general, or is this more of a
Yeah,
real estate thing, or what?
who do you
Okay.
see in general? Like who in business in the area do you see and you're like, okay, I look up to that person or that person's interesting, or I like the total obsession that they have with what they're doing and the passion
Yeah,
behind it.
yeah. I mean, there's I think a lot of people come into that category, but probably the one, and it's just because we've become really good friends, is Asher Black. I mean, he's 23 years old and is top 5 in Chattanooga and started in the business a month before I did. So,
Wow. So he started when he was like what, 18, 17?
yeah, I think 19. He
Okay.
might have been, yeah, I think is he 23 or 24? I think he was 19. Yeah.
Wow.
So, and I mean, he's built a huge business, and he's an impressive person.
Yeah, I
Yep.
just saw him on Real Producers, I think, on
Hmm.
the wasn't he was on the
Yeah,
cover
he was
there.
on the cover of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's really impressive. You know, what's fun too is there's a lot of people that I know that I've become friends with that are in the process of building the business, and even if you see the sausage being made and it's not perfect, you can still take a step back and really appreciate it. Tim Sedlock owns his own insurance agency. He's become a friend of mine. I'm impressed with what he's done and being really focused on culture first and foremost. There's other people like Terrell Dyer's a roofer, and he's expanded his business, and he ran into issues with, not being an owner operator and then working on stepping out and trying to do all the balancing of that, and it gets business is messy. So even even though I mean with some of those people, I've see the messiness of it, I see the growth, and I see the obsession with wanting to get better.
Mm.
Um, and that was I had a realtor I was talking to yesterday, and he said to me, "You're one of," and I don't remember exactly what it was, so I don't want to overinflate it, but he was like, "You're one of the hardest working people I know," and it might even have been nicer than that, like you're the hardest or whatever. But I was like, "Hey, you can work hard but not smart. What do you mean by that?"
Mm.
Because I don't want to just be seen as a hard worker. I want to be seen as strategic. Like I want to get better. And he said, That's literally what I mean is you're constantly working on how do you get better."
Mm.
And it's not just working. It's not like, "Oh, I'm just grinding at the office." It's like, I want feedback because we're not perfect. And guess what? Real estate is kind of sticky and messy at times. And like, you got to deal with weird personalities and especially people moving from different states, and you do relocations, and they're like, sometimes they're kind of puffed their chest up a little bit, and you have to figure out a way to de-escalate. That's a lot of the refereeing background. Like, how do you de-escalate and give them honor, but also be able to move them towards you get this done. Like,
Mm. Mhm.
come on, because
Yeah.
you're going to be mad at me. And setting proper expectations. Hey, like, we signed a contract that you're going to close in 25 days, and you're blowing me up about closing quicker. And like, I have 25 other people that are in the pipeline. How do I take care of this person, honor the real estate agent, and also make everybody happy at the same time without them leaving and then all potentially damaging a relationship? Like, well, you couldn't accommodate. It's like, yeah, but I told you how long I needed to close. Like, it's not my fault that you wanted to do X. And like, sometimes you can adjust, but I don't want to just overpromise. Yeah, we can get it done, and then we don't get it done. I'm not in that game.
Mm. Mhm.
I don't play that game. So it's constantly adjusting. And I think the people that I respect, it's not that they're perfect yet. It's that they're just constantly adjusting to get a little bit better, a little bit better. There's you probably know Doug Edgerton. I was able to spend a little bit of time with him at an event and talked with him for about 30 minutes. And I didn't know him at all before that. And I was pretty impressed. It's like, oh, okay, this guy's running a business,
Yeah.
and he understands it at a different level, and he's coached by really high level people, and he's thinking big.
Yeah.
And it was cool because he thinks so big, and like he spent 30 minutes talking to me. I was like, I appreciate that.
He's got a good team. I mean, you see
Yeah.
him everywhere now,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they've
Yeah.
done 5,000 homes or something crazy, but he has big plans. It's not he's got and it wasn't even really flexing, but some of the stories he told me about, like, basically how he is the person that started Zillow Flex, and where you basically pay once it closes. And it's a profit share more model. I mean, he's the person they guinea pigged it on, and he suggested it to Zillow, and they
Wow.
did it. He has all of the Realtor.com leads. He basically got Realtor.com to cancel all the contracts with every real estate agent in town, and he has all of them.
Wow.
Like, it's pretty unique.
Big deal.
That's kind of
Big
a
deal.
big deal. Like, you're swinging some stuff. I mean, Tom Ferry's been his coach for 8-9 years or something silly. Like, it's pretty cool.
That is awesome. I need to get those people on. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to clip this and send it
Clip
to
it.
those people.
Yeah,
and
clip it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, thank you
sure.
so much for coming
Thanks,
on.
Andrew.
This was
Good
awesome.
time, brother.